Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Kavan Smith, and I am here today with my lovely and talented co-star Emmanuelle Vaugier, and we just finished a movie called Big Sky River, and we're also lucky enough to have with us the author of the book, who happens to be the best-selling Western romance author, Linda Lael Miller. Linda, thank you so
Hi,
much for joining us.
thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Emmanuelle, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm enjoying this summer weather in Vancouver right now, so that I'm excited about that.
Excellent. Well, I guess they wrote these stuff for me to say, and some of it's pretty funny. I have to tell everybody how excited we are to tune in for our movie. That's sort of a given. But
Yeah.
I'm going to say it anyway. We're all really excited about this movie that we've done. Emmanuel and I, what, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that?
Yeah,
We
yeah. I
got
think
into
it's
this.
almost 2 months ago now.
Yeah, and every day just kind of got better and better and better. And we had such a great script based on such a good book that it was kind of unlike a lot of the other Hallmark movies. We sort of stand out a little bit, which is really great. And we owe that to Linda. But I just want to start with some questions that they've written me there. So, firstly, in Big Sky River, Tara travels to Parable, Montana for the summer and meets the town's sheriff, Boone. Without giving too much away, can we share how our characters' lives start to intertwine? Emmanuel.
Well, I go to Parable, Montana, from the big city, from New York City, to get away from the middle of an ugly divorce, and I rent, or I guess I Airbnb this fabulous, gorgeous home in the countryside, and I have some animals to tend to and things. And the first day, I kind of get myself into some hot water, and lo and behold, this handsome gentleman that lives across the way is there to help.
You mean exceedingly handsome?
Exceedingly.
I'll go along with that.
Well, I also think the same way. What I liked about this character is that, and this show, it wasn't so much just, and I've told this in a couple interviews already, it is less, not less about, but it's not just about two people getting a second shot at love, or, boy meets girl, they fall in love. It's really about sort of broken relationships. And I'm a father of two boys myself in my real life. So this guy, Boone Taylor, is a man who's lost his wife, and he's trying to raise two boys on his own. So it's really less about, for me, it was less about the boy meets girl and more about broken family meets other broken family, and we try to make it together as new family. And that's really what sort of spoke to me with this one, and part of the reason why I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think absolutely, because I think with the two of us, with me coming in with my stepdaughter, I don't have my own children, but I raised her kind of as my own.
Yeah.
The same sort of, I'm struggling with how to keep that relationship whilst, separating from her father, and
Right.
even though she's not biological. So it's like, and it's that sense of like, where does that family sort of, how do I keep that glue together with her?
Exactly. Yeah, it was very cool. Anyway, moving right along. Question number 2. Parable is a charming town in Montana where Tara gets time to rediscover herself. Linda, this question is for you. Where did you find your inspiration on writing this story and creating these main characters?
Wow. There could be a really long answer to that, but basically, I was raised in the Old West. My
Yeah.
dad was a town marshal, really true,
Oh,
and also a rodeo cowboy. My uncle was a champion bronc buster, actually rode at Madison Square Garden, and uh, got to kiss Miss America and all that great stuff. So I was raised around cowboys, and the women are so strong. And the thing I like to celebrate in all my stories is the integrity that people have, and how my characters always try to do the right thing. They make mistakes, but they look for the right thing and they try to do it. And I think my story is mostly about values. I love the love story. I always have kids. I always have dogs. I love dogs and horses, so I
yeah.
always have those. So I might be rambling a little here, but I hope
No,
I
not at
answered
all.
that.
We're professional ramblers. That's all we do.
Good, I'll fit right in.
Yeah.
Well, my honorary grandparents, they weren't really my grandparents, but they sort of adopted us, my father and his brother, the rodeo cowboys. They were kind of wild, I think, and they slept in the guy in Florence's barn sometimes. So I was raised believing that they were my grandparents. Well, they came to that property in a covered wagon, and Grandma Wiley, when she was a little girl, lived outside of Coffeyville, Kansas. She actually remembered the day the Dalton brothers tried to rob the bank in Coffeyville. The ranchers and business people had known they were coming, so they were laying for them. So there was a big shootout. And another time, a man rode up to the gate, and her father went down to talk to him, and turned out he went up to the barn to sleep, and the grandma's father came in, and the wife asked, well, who was that man, and why did you send him to the barn? Because most people, you know, would invite even a stranger in, even in my childhood, right off the road to have supper. Well, it turned out that the new arrival had actually not agreed to enter the house, and the reason was he was Jesse James, and he didn't want people were looking for him on both sides of the law probably, and he didn't want to endanger this farm family, so he slept in their barn that night. You know, this is just one of tons of stories that I heard, and growing up and watching Grandma cook at this old wood stove, you know. So the West is just deeply ingrained in my experience.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, it is.
You are the West.
I like to think so.
Can I ask you a question? Have you had a chance to see the movie yet?
No, I haven't. I was kind of hoping I'd get an advanced peek, but I haven't.
Okay.
But I'm sure it's wonderful. I can tell that from like I said, the pictures. If you're having that much fun, and my gosh, the territory, beautiful where it was filmed. Was that in Alberta?
No, we shot in British Columbia, sort of in the
interior. Okay, BC. Well, that's our near neighbor. I grew up 9 miles from the Canadian border, and right across was Trail and Rossland, and so yeah, I'm familiar with Canada.
Sweet. Okay, so moving along. Now, Emmanuelle, our characters bond over feeding chickens and enjoying the beautiful nature of Parable. Without giving anything away, do you have any favorite scenes and why?
Well, there's a handful of favorite scenes that I have, but I think the one that really stood out for me, I really love the one where, not giving anything away, where we sit outside. You bring me flowers on a lunch break, and we sit outside and chat, and it's just such a simple scene of just two people talking, where there's not a bunch of stuff going on, and I thought it was such a great sort of where I enjoyed that it was a moment between our two characters, between Tara and Boone, where we were just like really honest with each other, and it was just kind of like all the stuff sort of fell away, and it's like, well, this is where I'm at, and you know, and I thought I just remember walking away that day going, that was a really special scene. I really enjoyed that.
Well, you got a chance to work with me, so that's always.
Well, I mean, that's just a given. Every day was a gift because of you, Kavan.
I totally agree with you on that closeness stuff. I mean, oftentimes when you shoot movies, especially some of these MOWs and stuff, TV movies, they kind of throw a bunch of superfluous stuff at you that's kind of unnecessary, and really the story can be told simply in simple little scenes where you have human connection. And I felt like we had quite a few scenes in this movie, like they just kind of added up. Like, I agree with you, at the end of the day we're like, that was a really nice scene. Had a couple of scenes with the kids that we really liked, and had a couple of scenes between you and I. There was one scene I will talk about. A director asked us to do a sort of a pirouette together, which felt ridiculously awkward. It just felt really weird. But in the end, it looks really spectacular. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what happens in the scene, but there's a pirouette moment where both characters come together, and that was that same idea. It was something so simple, like we were forehead to forehead, and we just did a little pirouette. But it was a quiet, simple moment, and you don't get that stuff in television and film anymore. It's always bang, 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 explosion, rush, rush, rush. but it was my wife and I on our very first date, we put our heads together for 45 minutes and just sort of sat there on the couch, just connected. And then she told me that's why she married me. that moment. So I felt like that was there's a lot of that. Linda, do you feel that when you wrote the script that you wrote that idea too, like just really about the personal connection between these people?
Absolutely. If you don't have that, you don't have a story.
Right.
And it comes from just what you said, being together, doing simple things, but being open to that connection. Most of my characters are terrified of falling in love again because they've been burned in some way.
Right.
And so, and especially in this story, everybody had to, get through all the personal stuff that would keep them from taking the risk.
Yeah.
And I find that really fascinating to write about. People are so interesting. I'm a chronic eavesdropper.
Oh, good. And it's also very relevant today. I mean, that idea of broken people trying to get a second shot is very relevant. People can relate to that all over the world.
I think there are so many of us out here that everybody's got some battle scars. That's you don't get out of here alive. So
no, you really don't.
Yeah, I think to me, it's about doing the right thing. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to, admit to yourself that something else is the right thing. But I really believe my father taught me this from the time I was small. And he said, the only advice you really need is always do the right thing. And, if you stop and listen, you do know the right thing. And so I kind of try to show that with my characters, and it sounds like it's really working in the movies, because I want people to know that there are a lot of second chances. There's always hope. And I think that a lot of this is about hope.
I think that is definitely what comes across in the script, and hopefully Emmanuelle and I put that in a bottle and got it on screen. Okay, Emmanuelle, you're going to like this next question, so I'm going to let you run with this one. Tara and Boone are pros at horseback riding. Do we have any experience in horseback riding, or did we learn how to ride horses for this role alone? You go right ahead.
Well, I love ponies. I have a horse, and I ride. No. Yes, I've been riding for quite some time now. I have a horse, a chestnut mare named Bunny, and we do competitive jumping together. So it's something very near and dear to my heart. I love riding, and I'm lucky enough that I've been able to do it for the past bunch of years, and I got to play in a movie doing my two favorite things, and acting and playing with ponies. So.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't mention that as your favorite moment, because the day that you shot the horse running, like full gallop running, you were walking on clouds all day long. You were so excited. And I felt left out because my story about horseback riding is less exciting. I've ridden horses, and I've done lots of shows on horses, but I play a cowboy. I'm not a cowboy. Even though I come from cowboy country, I'm not really a cowboy. And so I felt bad that I couldn't do the running stuff with you, so they had to bring in a real cowboy, and you guys just because they wanted to have Emmanuelle's face on camera going full out, and they needed Boone to be there with her, and I'm not good. I know chances are I probably break my neck if I did that, so we just had me just walking around and trotting around and trying to look like I knew what I was doing.
But you actually looked like you really actually pulled it off. Like even in the photos where I'm like, wow, he just looks so much like I look less relaxed than you do. Like, honestly, I was like, wow, he just like has that cowboy thing.
Well, I don't know if I'm more relaxed than you are, maybe sleepier than you are, but I'm not so relaxed. But it was, it was a lot of fun nonetheless. Okay, now this is my Simpson moment, and that bit in The Simpsons where he always says, "I'm Troy McClure. You may recognize me from such and such movies." Now I have to say, my name is Kavan Smith. I play Lee Coulter on TV's When Calls the Heart, and they're asking me if there's any similarities between Lee Coulter and Boone Taylor. And I would say that there are some similarities in that, much like Linda was saying, they're both good guys, and they do their best to do their best. Like, they really try and do the right thing And I've made that a cornerstone. I mean, Linda wrote that into the book, so I didn't have to do much with that. But with Lee, I've always made it important that he is very earnestly always trying to do the right thing. Sometimes he trips up, that's human. But I would say that maybe in Big Sky River, it's a bit, Boone is a bit more real. He's got more damage. In When Calls the Heart, we're sort of almost science fiction. it's not quite reality. So I would say Boone is perhaps more grounded in reality. But and I like the fact that he has children, because I have two boys. Boone has two boys. It was a very natural fit for me, and I love doing the stuff with the kids. And as of yet, Lee is not a father. So, okay, huffing right along. Again, Linda, this one is for you. The ranch, and you've kind of already answered this a little bit, but the ranch plays a big role in the movie as Tara develops a strong connection that helps her transform her own life. So, Linda, have you ever stayed at a ranch or visited a ranch or something that inspired you to write about these things?
Oh boy, have I ever. I basically grew up on the same grandparents I mentioned. Their ranch was about 18 miles outside of town, and I spent as much time there and on horseback as I did in town. And I loved it. And I've got to admit that some of my influence too also came from Bonanza.
Oh, Bonanza. Cool.
I was the biggest Bonanza fan at like 9 years old.
So was I.
I loved that show. And I often say I learned to write from that show. I learned to construct scenes. I learned that you had to find a way to make people come back after the Chevrolet commercial. You know, and it was, but that there was that integrity, this family, and they were all very close, and they had their struggles, and they worked together for, you know, to confront those struggles. And that was a tremendous influence on me, because it was a reflection of the way I'd grown up. And that seemed pretty ordinary since it was the way I grew up.
Right.
But seeing it kind of verified on this and a few other shows like Big Valley, and, you know, there were some really good ones back then. And that influenced me tremendously. And one more thing I'd like to say is that, Kavan, you live by the code of the West, and that makes you a cowboy.
Well, thank you. I'll wear that badge. I appreciate that. Okay, Emmanuelle. As our characters' relationships progress, Tara's stepdaughter Erin comes to Parable to stay with her for the summer. How does her visit affect Tara and Boone's relationship?
I think that, well, I think my focus switches all of a sudden from, you know, wow, there's this great, interesting, fun guy that
super handsome.
Yeah, super exceedingly handsome.
My hairdresser thinks so. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Oh, nice.
She's a fan.
Okay. Sure.
My focus then all of a sudden becomes all about her, and it's and also that we can bring like the idea that we can bring our families together, and it sort of feels like, wow, this is what I always wanted. This is what, and you know, and the struggle of like how am I going to I want to stay here. I'm torn between, you know, staying in Parable and pursuing a relationship, and then also being supportive and being there for Erin. So I think it creates a bit of friction, I think, in how our relationship develops, and I think kind of makes challenges it in a good way, that you know, like Linda was saying, like, you know, making decisions and wanting to do the right thing,
right,
and struggling with, well, what is the right thing? What's the right thing for me? What's the right thing for her? What do I give up what I want in order, or can I have both, you know?
Exactly.
So trying to figure that out. And I think that puts a strain on our relationship.
Yeah. Very cool. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, yeah, that.
Okay. This is a question I've wondered since I read the script the very first time. So the town of Parable has a big star among its residents who befriends Tara. Linda, did you have any real life people that served as inspiration for the Casey Elfman character?
Oh boy, am I glad to say I did. I was friends with Johnny Cash and his wife, June Carter Cash.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I was around a lot of cool people, and that's what inspired me. I kind of physically I patterned that character after a young Reba McEntire because I'm
Oh,
a major fan. But yes, I was friends for years with the Cashes, and that exposed me to a lot of stuff this Northport girl never would have been
I
involved
bet.
in.
I bet. I mean, those are some awfully big names you just threw out there. I wasn't expecting that.
No, I wasn't either.
Yeah,
Well, I really try not to name drop, but you did ask me, so.
Oh no! If
No,
I knew
name
Johnny
drop away.
Cash,
That's great.
if I knew Johnny Cash, I would have dropped that the minute I said hello. I'd say, "Hi, my name is Kavan Smith. I know Johnny Cash."
Well, you would have loved him. He was so down to earth, and we used to play dominoes, and he I don't know, he's so ordinary. It was so funny, and then on stage, of course, different persona, but he was really
Right.
very shy. June was the one that was outgoing.
Interesting.
Huh.
Okay, so I like this question a lot. I don't know how personal you want to get, Emmanuelle, but here we go. Tara and Boone both teach each other how important it is in life to take risks. Do we each have a moment or moments in our lives where we took a big chance?
Yeah, I mean, every day.
Just getting out of bed.
Do I leave the house? Do I? No, I mean, I think in the beginning, it was for me moving to Los Angeles to pursue acting. That was a big chance. Should I stay in Vancouver? It's in the comfort zone. I can, or do I take that leap of faith and risk not working for many years before booking something, or just all that stuff. And then with relationships too. I mean, I think I've taken chances, and I'm currently single, so clearly
You won't be for long. You won't be for long.
You know what? I'm happily single. Now I'm like, maybe I just take that chance of being single for a really long while. But no, I mean, all joking aside, yeah, I think I think life isn't interesting unless you take chances, and I think that's where the biggest rewards come, is when the biggest risks come with the biggest rewards. That doesn't mean like risk to your personal health or harming yourself, but yeah, taking chances and doing something that scares you.
I couldn't agree more. You take big chances, especially in life. I mean, if you want to pursue something that means something to you, and all three of us here have done that. We've pursued something that we love, and you have to risk something. You got to have some skin in the game, otherwise there's no payoff. And if there was, the payoff wouldn't be worthwhile. So you gotta take risks. And I, like you, Emmanuelle, I took a risk. I went against the grain. My father expected me to follow him in the family business, and then I told him one day I wanted to be an actor, and he didn't love it, but he didn't hate it. And then I guess the one other big risk I took is I've asked out one woman in my life, and that's my wife. And I'm shy when it comes to girls, and I had to muster up the courage and do it the old-fashioned way and just say, "Will you go out with me?" It was so bad, and I was pathetic, but she took pity on me, but I risked something, and it paid off, because we've been married for 20 years and we have two beautiful kids. So I guess that's the risk. On that note, we're pretty much ready to wrap this up. We're just going to play one little quick game here. They call it this or that. It's very simple. I'm just going to ask you guys one thing, and you pick the thing that you would choose to do. So they're very simple questions. Linda, I'll start with you. Horseback riding or fishing?
Horseback riding.
Spend the summer in the country or a lively city?
Country.
I think that was obvious. Go hiking or attend a barbecue?
Attend a barbecue.
Sit at home and watch a movie or curl up with a good book?
Curl up with a good book.
Amen. Okay, Emmanuelle, same questions. I think the first one was also very obvious. Horseback riding or fishing?
Fishing. I'm done.
Good one.
Yeah, good one. Okay, spend the summer in the country or in the city?
Country.
Yeah. Hiking or barbecue?
Hiking.
TV or movie or a book?
Book.
Yeah, I'm standard. I'd go fishing only because the horseback riding might kill me. Definitely, the one I'm different with you guys. I'm kind of more of a city boy, so I'd probably pick the city. I'd go hiking instead of the barbecue, and with 1,000% emphasis, I would pick book over a movie every single day. Anyway, I guess I'm going to give you guys each a chance to address the fans and say goodbye. Emmanuelle, why don't you go first?
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoy the film as much as we enjoyed making it. I had a blast, so I hope it's as fun to watch as it was to do. So thank you for being here.
And Linda, what about you?
I'm so excited that Hallmark has made this movie. I'm excited to have met Kavan, I'm sorry.
And nobody ever gets it right.
I did name a character after you. There's a child in my new book with your name. Saying goodbye, I have enjoyed this tremendously. I can't wait to see the movie, and I know it will be wonderful because it was made by wonderful people.
Wow, I agree with you. It was made by wonderful people, including yourself for writing such a good story for us to sink our teeth into. And I just want to say thank you to all the fans for tuning in. And please mark this on your calendar. Sunday, August 7th, 9/8 Central, only on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. And please tweet along with us at the hashtag Big Sky River. Very simple. Please join us. I'm sure Emmanuelle and I will see you there. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.